Are you an idiot? Well, you're in good company. There are about 8 billion idiots on this planet, and that number grows every day. Don't be the guy or gal that says, "I'm not an idiot," because that makes you the biggest idiot of all. We all have our moments of brilliance and our moments of idiocy. Embrace it, folks. Don't be ashamed. Without those idiot moments, we would never be able to appreciate our brilliance. Welcome to I Love My Idiot, a podcast about the idiots we love, the idiots we loathe, and the idiots we can't seem to avoid. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Visit our website at ilovemyidiot.com.
Welcome to another episode of I Love My Idiot.
I'm your equal host, Clyde November.
And I'm Rosie November.
How you doing today, Rosie?
I'm doing great. Yeah, there's some interesting things going on in the world right now, so it's been a ride.
Yeah, still interesting things going on in the world, right?
Especially as things are starting to open back up. You're hearing about just some interesting and unique groups of people.
I'll tell you what I'm hearing about. There's a chance the NBA might be opening back up so that we can have the NBA playoffs. It's very exciting.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I was probably going to go into a depression without the NBA playoffs. I mean, I've been in a depression. I mean, they already took March Madness from me, so.
I think it's just interesting that they're going to try and make that happen. I mean, there's just so many other things going on in the world that I'm not sure that the NBA playoffs is the most important thing to be thinking about, but it is the thing that you and many other men are thinking about right now, and women who love sports.
Yeah, apparently, and this is what I've been hearing, I haven't source checked this at all. I just heard it on the radio, but apparently there's some kind of test that is being produced that potentially it'll work kind of like a diabetic test where they prick the finger, test the blood right away, and they can tell if a person has coronavirus. I don't know if this thing is already perfected or not, but the whole idea is if they have that test and they test all the players and refs and coaches and stuff like that, they won't let any fans into the arena, they can then have the NBA playoffs, which is really exciting.
Dude, not cool. I can't even get a freaking test. Why should we be able to test hundreds of players every freaking day of the playoffs when a regular Joe can't even get the test?
Because regular Joes are not as important as these basketball players, all right?
I disagree immensely.
Look, this reminds me of when my dad was complaining because Mike Pence took a test, and I'm like,
oh
Dad,
my gosh.
I'm like, he's the vice president. What do you expect? And he's like, oh, every man can't get one.
It makes more sense, though, for him to get a test than it does for the entire, world of baseball.
Basketball.
Whatever.
Do you know what the NBA is? No, I'm sorry, guys.
I just did that to tease you. I knew it was basketball. I just knew it would get Clyde riled up if I said it was baseball.
My whole thought is you should be able to get a test the more irreplaceable you are. Right? Like,
no.
Vice president, irreplaceable, I guess. So let's get the guy a test.
What happened to, equality?
Equality went out the window when God started producing men that were 6'8" and could move like the wind and jump out of this world.
Clyde, we will never agree on this. Ever, ever, ever. I think they should be testing all the nurses and doctors and people who are freaking on the front lines, not the NBA players. The NBA players don't matter when it comes to this. What matters is people who are freaking saving lives.
Yeah, but when those people are done saving lives and go home, what do they want to watch? They want to turn on the TV.
I doubt they want to watch anything. They just worked an 18-hour shift. They're going to bed and then they're starting again in the morning.
All right, look, I'm essential, kind of.
Not really. I
make packets for kids to work.
If there was one test for Clyde or one test for an NBA player, yes, I would be test the player. Clyde doesn't
I would
really
gladly give up my test for LeBron James.
Sure. No, I don't think it's a good use of resources. I just don't. You and I will never agree on this.
I just feel like you have your priorities out of whack. They're
Clearly.
human too. I would like to point that out.
Now, if they've been sick or something and they have reason to get tested, then yes, I think they should be offered a test, just like any other person. But I do not think that we should waste all these resources so that they can play a few games.
Important
I just don't.
games.
They're
That's
not,
the playoffs.
Why is it important?
It's
Clyde?
the playoffs.
Why is
what
the
do you
playoffs
mean,
important?
Why is it important?
Why?
Why did my voice go so high right there?
Why is it important? I don't see it.
Well, let me
being
explain to you
super
why
critical.
it's important. Because this could potentially be the last year of LeBron James's prime. And to strip the man, who I would like to point out is more than just a basketball player. He is also, what's the word?
Godlike. Because you worship him, so
No.
he probably is. No,
I
here's
don't worship
the thing.
him. No, he fights for social injustice. He does it all the time.
Good guy.
Good guy.
I'm not saying
Good
that any
guy.
of these guys aren't good guys. I think they're probably all guys that are very good.
Well, they're not all. But, I mean, I'm willing to admit, every workplace has their douchebag, right? Every
No,
team's probably got one
I'm
too.
sure they're great people, but I just think that it's silly to be focused on this when there's so many other greater things to focus on, such as, but not limited to, our economy, which is tanking. Like, I don't see why should be a priority whatsoever, or why any resources should be placed on this. I think that they should be focused on getting people back to work, maybe rallying around supporting frontline workers. I don't know. There's just so many other things that these resources could be spent on. And you and I did have an argument earlier that, yeah, every player is backed by some millionaire, billionaire somewhere. That may be true. Well, I think that those millionaires and billionaires should probably be spending that money on, other things that are helping make the world a better place.
Yeah. Well, one thing that did make me very proud of many professional basketball players, when the initial shutdown happened, many of those basketball players were actually putting forth their own money to help support the people that were out of work that were working inside those arenas.
Dude, I love those guys.
I know.
That's awesome.
I know. And
we've seen a lot of that.
Yeah.
We've seen a ton of giving. The actors from Stranger Things gave money to the cause. There's been a lot of things that people have done who have extra money. You and I have donated money to certain funds to help families that are in need. We've bought groceries for families. We've done things like that because we have a little more to give than some people may have. So we've given and paid it forward. Those are the great things. Now, entertainment, I think, is important for especially people like you who are stuck in their houses all day. I think it's good for mental health.
Here, help my mental health. Come on, LeBron James, only you can help my mental health.
I don't think millions and billions of dollars need to be spent doing that.
All right. Well, agree to disagree then? Agree
to disagree.
Because I'm not changing my mind. Bring back the NBA.
Well, I honestly hope that this cancels football too. I'm not going to lie.
Whoa. And that's all the time we have for this week's episode. No, I'm joking. Rosie.
Yeah.
Rosie, when you say that, you're wishing that the world does not go back to normal.
No, I do want normalcy. I just hate football.
Well, I do want to apologize to our diehards. I know there are a lot of them out there. We did skip last week.
We did. We decided to celebrate Mother's Day instead of work during Mother's Day.
So we did take a day off, and initially it wasn't planned. We were planning on podcasting, but things kind of got away from us. We ended up being lucky enough to spend time with one of our mothers.
Yes.
And so I do want to apologize, but I feel like it would be a missed opportunity, even though Mother's Day passed, if we didn't at least, acknowledge our mothers on the podcast. Yeah. 2 of the 3 mothers that we have listen to this thing. So.
I know. No, we had a great Mother's Day. We did call both of my moms. And that was really great to speak with them and give them a shout out for how awesome that they are. And one of them has to put up with my dad, so she's a saint. Just kidding, Dad. I
have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah. The man is one of my heroes.
He is. He's amazing. So it was funny. He called me on Sunday and he was like, "Baby girl, where is the episode of the podcast?" I'm like, "Dad, I just don't know if we're going to get one out this week." And he's like, "This is the only thing I look forward to all week." So yeah, it's kind of hard on him if we ever skip the podcast, because I think that's his way of like staying connected with us.
Yeah,
and he loves it, man. He's like one of our biggest fans.
Yeah,
can't forget about Lynette and John Thomas.
Yeah, he's not
Isabella.
the only one that reached out and asked. You know, I had this thought, like, if we don't make an episode, people probably won't notice. But I was kind of overwhelmed by how many people reached out and said, "Hey, where's the episode?" And
people are starting to depend on us, Clyde.
Yeah, I screwed up. I let you guys down.
And we actually did have an episode ready, but when we started listening to it back, we're like, the topic wasn't good, so we ended up scrapping that episode.
I don't even think it was the topic. I think it was the energy. See, sometimes, here's what happens. Rosie works a lot, like 6 a.m. till like 8 p.m. She comes home, and I'm sitting here being like, hey, let's podcast, right? Understandably so. Like, you had one eye closed the whole time. You were half asleep, so we had to scrap that footage. It's forever lost.
Yes.
I would like to say, like, we could release it for, like, a special behind the scenes or something like that. But it's literally garbage, people. So it's gone.
So what's your favorite story about your mom?
Here's the thing. My mom always was incredibly fun for us. She always created opportunities for us to play games and stuff. It's part of the reason I love games as much as I do. But one of the sweetest things that my mom has ever done for me, when I came home from Iraq, it was like a week before Thanksgiving. And my mom knew that turkey has never, like, it's my least favorite meat, right up there with like fish, you know?
My 2 favorite meats.
Totally. I know. It's funny how you and I's taste buds are like complete opposites. Also, just Thanksgiving as a whole was never my favorite holiday. I mean, now it is because of you. You know, you have really revived that holiday for me with your incredible cooking. But when I was growing up, a lot of those foods I just didn't like. And so I had just gotten home from Iraq, and my mom said, the thing I'm most grateful for in the world is that you're alive. And I was like, cool. I was like, thanks, Mom. That would suck if I was dead. And so she said for Thanksgiving, she would make anything I wanted. And I'm sure you can guess what I asked for. Yeah,
it was probably enchiladas. It's like your favorite food.
Yeah, I love enchiladas. So I asked my mom
I hate enchiladas.
For enchiladas. Now, my mom makes a very unique enchilada. Yeah. And anytime anybody eats it that's like new to the family is always like, oh, what is this? But we grew up on it. It's like an enchilada that has cottage cheese on the inside. And now that I know what a normal enchilada is like, I'm like, yeah, that is a little strange. But
yeah, but you still like them. I mean,
I do like it. Yeah. It's got the enchilada sauce. And really, that's what I love about enchiladas is that sauce. But so my mom, for Thanksgiving that year, she still made the turkey. She still made the potatoes and everything that goes with it. But then on top of it, she made enchiladas. She made this big old platter of enchiladas. And when she pulled it out, everyone that was there for the Thanksgiving dinner was just like, what is with the enchiladas? And my mom's like, this is for my favorite son.
Oh,
that's right, Claude.
Gosh.
You'll never live up. You didn't serve in a combat zone, Claude.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I bet there was probably a big tear fest when that happened, because you and your mom sometimes get a little emotional together. But it's sweet. It's sweet to see how much that you guys love each other. And
yeah, and you have to keep in mind, I was my mom's baby. She had 5 kids, and I was the baby of that, right? And so my mom and I are just very close, you know? And I would say now that I'm older, I'm probably not as close with her. But when I grew up, I would say she took some extra liberties to baby me a little bit more because I'm the baby, you know, and I'm seeing.
She still babies you.
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, if I ask for anything. If you get all 5
of you together, you can definitely see, you know, that relationship that the 2 of you have. It's just a little bit different than the relationship with anybody else.
Well, I am a little bit more lovable than most of my siblings. So, I mean, that could account for that. But I don't know. I love my mom. My mom is a special person, and, you know, I love her for many reasons. One of which was my brother, who used to pick on me all the time. thanks to my mom, I got to watch him get kicked into a dishwasher.
Oh my gosh. That never happened, Clyde. I don't know why you keep bringing it up.
Anyways, love you, Mom.
Your mom is the best grandma ever to our kids. Like, our kids are so lucky because they have 3 grandmas and all of them are really, really awesome to them. They love their grandmas, every one of them. But your mom in particular takes a lot of time because she's right here.
Yeah.
And she really does, she takes them every Saturday and they do fun activities. She's always got the whole day planned. She just really takes a lot of effort in helping our kids have a fun childhood. And I really appreciate that about her.
Oh, yeah. She's like coming up with art projects. Mm-hmm. Every Halloween, she does this weird thing. She calls it, what is it? Like Granny's Restaurant?
Yeah.
And so
all this creepy food.
Yeah, you go over there and you eat all this creepy food, right? Like you eat severed fingers, but really it's just like desserts that she's made to look like fingers. And then
peanut butter all molded looking like a finger.
Like a finger or whatever. And that's the only one that comes to mind.
She eats like they do bugs. And,
She smashes up Oreos to make it look like dirt and you have to eat dirt or whatever. And she has all these different things on the menu. None of it healthy.
No.
And none of it would have flown when I was a kid because my mom was a health nut. She still is, but
she really makes it special for the grandkids. Oh, yeah.
She spoils the grandkids. When we were little, we were not allowed to even eat like cereal if it had sugar on it. So I grew up on grape nuts, and every time Mom and Dad weren't looking, I'd sneak into the cupboard, get some sugar, and sprinkle it on so it'd taste better, but I don't know. I heard your brother broke a tooth on a grape nut. Is that true?
Yes, that is a true story.
Eat those with caution, people.
Right. Well, when you eat them that have been expired probably for 10 years from the food bank, you never know what you're going to get. Yeah, your mom has taught me a lot, too. I mean, she really is the best mother-in-law that I could have ever dreamed of having. A lot of people don't get along with their mother-in-laws, but my mother-in-law is one of my best friends. So I love her so much, and I've learned so much from her, and she is just really incredible. Now, my mom, I'm really lucky because my dad remarried, and I consider her to be my mom as well. But my mom that birthed me is such an awesome person, too. I look at her life, and I think about all of the things that she has overcome, and it really does almost bring me to tears to think about how far she's come. And how proud I am of her, My mom really grew up with me. She was young when she had me, and we grew up together, it felt like, in a lot of ways. So I always say that she's my twin flame, You get the two of us together for more than a week and we'll probably kill each other because we're so alike and we're so just uniquely connected in a way that is so much deeper than I've seen a lot of people's connection with their moms because we've been through hell together and back. And when you go through that kind of trauma and just emotions together, I think it really does sort of forge you together. And I'm just so proud of her and I love her so much. One of my favorite Mother's Day stories is the time I went to the hospital on Mother's Day because we were out in this field and we were picking wildflowers for my mom. And we'd walked like 2 miles away from our house to find all these wildflowers. And we were picking them. Well, we found a rose bush, but it was like a wild rose bush. Somehow I scraped my foot like really bad.
Like on the thorns?
On the thorns, and then it shocked me, and so then I tripped, and then a rock just like ripped into my leg. And so I had to like hobble home.
Oh my goodness.
And Seamus was helping me along, and so was Christine. They each had one arm on each kid, and they sort of dragged me home because I really couldn't use my leg or my foot because I was a mess. Like I was tore up. And we get home and I go into the bathroom and I just wash it up as good as I could, put duct tape and toilet paper on it because we didn't have Band-Aids, but for some reason we always had duct tape.
Duct tape is useful. Yeah. You always got to have it.
And I cleaned my face up, got all the blood off. And my mom like wakes up and we're like, look, we got you wildflowers. And she was like, what happened to you? Because apparently I looked horrible. We ended up running to the hospital because I had to get like 8 stitches in my leg.
Yeah. Well, the happy part of that story is that despite the injury, you still brought some flowers back.
Yeah, she still got her flowers. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
But it was.
But
yeah,
hospital bills are not cheap.
Yeah.
So the happy Mother's Day.
Dude, hospital bills were very cheap for my mom because she never paid her bills.
Oh. It's like another free trip to the hospital. I didn't realize that was an option. What the?
Eventually, they just forgive you. No, we applied for like a grant to help pay for our hospital bills. But yeah, I know because I filled out the paperwork. I still have a scar though from that Mother's Day, and I think about Mom every time I look at it.
Now, you mentioned that you feel like you're unique because you love your mother-in-law. Mm-hmm. I also love my mother-in-law. I think your mom is very cool. Now, when I first met your mom, I'll be honest with you, I've never met like, and I don't know the right word for it, but maybe backwoods people. I've never met a backwoods person before. Like you, Rosie, you were actually the first backwoods person I ever met.
I was one.
But you hit it really well.
Sure.
Like you came to the big city, you embraced the city.
I was a good actress. What can I say?
And so, I mean, I lived a mostly sheltered life, growing up in a small suburb of Denver, and for the most part, everyone around us had money. I'm not saying we lived by rich people. There were some rich people in the neighborhood, but everyone had money. For the most part, we were all middle class. And I just didn't know a lot of people that kind of grew up in real small towns out in the woods or up at the top of a mountain, and so from the very beginning, I was thinking like, your mom is very unique. I've never met anyone like her, but as I've gotten to know more people and we go and visit, I realize, it's just we grew up in very different places. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
But your mom is so thoughtful. She is, from what I understand, there's a shirt in the mail.
Yeah, she's always buying you Bigfoot stuff.
Yeah, she said, I saw a shirt that you just can't live without. So she sent me a shirt. I'm excited to get it. Plan on wearing it for 4 days straight once it shows up. But she's always been very kind to me. Yeah, she's an awesome grandmother. She always plans, anytime she's around the kids, she always plans different activities that are going to be really fun for the kids and stuff like that. So we're really lucky to, have your mom. And unfortunately, I think she was about 2 weeks away from visiting. When they shut down everything. So
yeah, she always comes down for about 2 weeks in the spring, and unfortunately, that didn't happen this year. So we've all sort of went into a little bit of a depression over that because we do look forward to that visit every year. But now maybe it'll be fall. I mean, I don't know. When things start opening back up, we're hoping to be able to get out and see her because she's really important to the kids. She's important to us. And we just love her so much and love spending time with her. But let's be real. There's a mom in our bunch that's pretty cool. And that's Mama Harmony. Married to my dad.
And she's pretty close to my age.
She is awesome. It's so funny because when our kids are with Mama Harmony, it's amazing how much fun they have. And they'll talk about it for weeks and weeks and weeks. Like, wish she lived here because she's way cooler than any of you guys. Like, she outshines most human beings on the planet. She's so awesome.
Sometimes I wonder where she gets the energy,
I know. She's got so much energy. She loves the kids. She always, again, just like the rest of them, plans super fun activities. Almost all of her activities, though, are around, like, making really yummy food, which is always the best part about visiting her. Like, she makes the best cookies, the best caramel corn, the best dinners. Like, she is such an incredible cook, and our kids talk about it forever because they just love time with her. Oftentimes, I wonder how a guy like my dad could land a girl like Harmony.
I don't. Your dad is a saint. Right? When he got divorced,
Yeah.
I knew he'd be back on that horse before too long.
He didn't stay on the market for long, that's for sure.
Oh, no.
It was like love at first sight.
Yeah.
You
Junkers
know?
like your dad. They don't stay on the market long.
Plus, he could like lift a car. I'm sure that's pretty impressive to a woman like Harmony, really.
Yeah.
He is one of the strongest men I have ever met in my life. In fact, I bet he could have won like weightlifting competitions. He was a weightlifter in high school and he did win a lot of those competitions, but I bet he could have been professionally a lifter like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, he is so strong.
They could have cast him as the mountain, even though he's short.
Yeah.
But just,
He's amazing.
in pure
He's not
strength.
that short.
He's shorter than me.
Well, everybody's shorter than you. You're a giant.
Anyone shorter than me, I call short. I'm sorry. It's a bad habit of mine.
Anyways, we're super grateful for all of the women in our lives, the moms who we have been blessed to have with us on this planet.
Yes.
And even the grandmas. I was thinking a lot about my grandma yesterday and just how much that I miss her and
you were
love
very
her.
close with your grandmother.
Yeah, she was another mom to me, and I sent her lots of love in heaven because I just adore that woman, and she really is a big part of who I am. So all the moms and the grandmas.
Yeah. And I was actually thinking about my grandma too. I had a grandma that I was very close to when I was little.
Mm-hmm.
And this story just kind of popped in my head. It came with some regret, I'm going to be honest with you. But my grandmother, she lived in Salt Lake City. So she would come to visit a couple times a year, and we'd go visit her a couple times a year. And I always loved her. But the thing is Novembers are not touchy-feely people, right? I mean, I like to touch
love
you,
from a distance.
but, everyone else, I'm like, no. One time, Grandma was visiting me, and when it was time to go, she said, Clyde, come over here and give me a kiss. And I said, yuck. I was like, Grandma, you're my grandma. I wouldn't kiss you. Right? And so she's like, get over here. And that's kind of how Grandma's voice was. Get over here and give your grandma a kiss. And I was like, Grandma, no. I was like, seriously, I am not. Right? And I wasn't even that old. I think I was like 7 or 8 years old. Right?
Wow.
And so my grandma, she was all flustered because I wouldn't give her this kiss. And pretty soon Grandpa's yelling like, Beth, get in the car. We gotta go. So she goes out to the car, and I said goodbye at the door. And then I go back into the couch. And all of a sudden, once she was outside for more than like 2 minutes, she comes back in holding a $1 bill. And she said, I'll give you this $1 if you give me a kiss. And I was like, fine. Give me the $1.
It only cost her $1.
Yeah, and then I gave her a quick little kiss and then went and brushed my teeth.
What, did you French her? Jeez, Clyde.
No, I just felt that freaking weird about it. All right?
Kissing is a weird thing because I came from a family that were kissers. Their parents were kissers. Like, I still kiss my mom and dad on the lips when I see them.
Yeah, I kiss your dad too. Yeah. I've grown as a human, right? But I felt a ton of regret because I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I would kill for a kiss from Grandma right now, even though I haven't kissed her since that moment. Like, she probably she never asked for another kiss. Like, it honestly probably made her feel so terrible. And then, as I was sitting there missing Grandma on Mother's Day, I was like, crap. I'm like the worst human in the world, which you already knew, but
Dude, your grandma was the best. She was my pinochle partner. And for some reason, I ended up being there when she died, which was a huge mistake. It should have been you and not me.
Yeah, I was doing loops in the parking lot.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on. I don't know why we did it that way, but I cried so hard when your grandma passed away and wailed and wailed. I woke up every person in that old folks home because my cry was so loud. You could probably hear my cry from the parking lot. everyone in your family, Novembers are very quiet criers. Like,
Yeah,
they are
we don't
not
show emotion.
emotional. And so every one of them like came around me and were like hugging me. And your mom was like, shh, like trying to hush me.
My mom was like, this is my mother. It's not
Yeah.
about you, Rosie.
Yeah. I wasn't trying to make it about me. It just was so sad for me because I loved her so much. And she was my pinochle partner for years. Like, we always played pinochle with them. And she was always my partner. So in her casket, I put the best pinochle hand you can ever get, which was pretty cool.
And we just spoke of something that probably 3 people understand. Do people play pinochle? Because that's like a staple in November family.
It's a card game, everybody.
Yeah, I know you had never played pinochle
Right.
when you joined the family. We taught you how to play.
Well, I didn't really play games.
True.
You
Us
know.
Novembers are gamers,
Yeah.
but not video gamers, just
No.
gamers. We're old school gamers.
Yeah, they like to play cards and charades and all the stuff that most people hate. Novembers love it.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, we still play pinochle. We just play with your parents and not your grandparents now.
yeah.
Because they're probably missing playing with them too, you know? It's sad to lose family members, but it's the natural way of life.
I know, it's the circle of life, sadly, you know.
Mhm, exactly. But shout out to all the moms. We love our moms. It's super awesome that we have them in our world. And man, we're really lucky. Speaking of moms, we had a unique experience in our yard the other day. And we happened to find a mother toad. And with that mother toad were 7, I repeat, 7 baby toads. We have an infestation, Clyde. It's a problem.
I don't necessarily know if it's a problem, but here's what happened. I found a hole in our garden,
Mm-hmm.
and it looked like some sort of animal had burrowed down there. And at first I was thinking something's burrowed down there. So I grabbed the hose and I was like, I'm just going to fill this hole with water.
I thought for sure it was going to be a snake, and I was going to like lose my freaking
It
mind.
did look like a snake
Yeah,
hole, right?
it really
but
did.
as far as I know, snakes can't swim or breathe underwater. So I was like, if I stick water in there, maybe it'll just drown under there, or
Sure.
I don't know. Or maybe it'll pop up. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I stick it in the hole, turn the water on, and that water ran for a good 10 minutes
Mm-hmm.
and never came up. Like, I kept waiting for the hole
Yeah.
to fill up. And so it just started hitting me that there is a underground network, which kind of freaked me out and made me think we
Yeah.
had gophers or something.
I
Right?
know.
Finally, the water did bubble up. So I got to figure out where the outlet was for this
Mhm.
underground tunnel system. Unfortunately, it was 25 feet away in my neighbor's
yeah.
yard. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, it truly is an infestation. But all that
It
water
was
running,
bad.
nothing came up. We didn't know what it was.
Right.
I would say another 10 minutes before something finally came out of there, out of the flooded
Mhm.
tunnel. And it was a frog or a toad.
Yeah, it was a toad.
A toad, right? Sometimes I have a hard time distinguishing between the two.
Toads are gigantic. Frogs are like small and cute.
This thing was gigantic,
Yeah.
right? And so we actually live right by a pond. And so
Mhm.
Rosie's demanded that we grab this
Yeah.
toad and take it down to the pond.
So we walk through the golf course. All of the neighbors are like looking at us like, why are they walking like right through the green with a bag? Because we put the toad in a bag.
Yeah, I didn't want it to pee on me. So when I picked it up like I wrapped my hand in a grocery bag and then just picked up the toad.
And it was so funny because I had one glove on and a shovel in my hand.
And I've got a red grocery bag and I'm holding a toad and we're walking across the golf course.
All the neighbors are like, what the heck are those guys doing? It was so funny. So then we set the toad free in the pond, and it was like, oh, good. We don't have to deal with that toad anymore. We come back. What's sitting there right by the same hole?
A second
A
toad.
second toad. This time, as I felt so, foolish and weird the first time when I was halfway across the golf course with my one glove and shovel, I was like, I think I'm going to leave these 2 things here this time. Clyde grabs his red bag,
Yep,
puts the
use
toad
the same
in it,
bag.
and we start walking back across the golf course. And one of the neighbors shouted out like, hey, what are you guys doing? We're like, setting toads free. How's your night going? And they're like, we get it, you know? Because apparently toads are a problem in our entire neighborhood.
Yeah. I felt really good about the fact that we got rid of those 2 toads.
Sure.
Right? Tunnel system might be a bad thing. But then I Googled, are toads good for your yard?
Yeah. Turns out they're amazing for your yard.
It said in one night, a toad can eat up to 100 slugs, bugs, or spiders.
Yeah.
And so I was like, crap, we got rid of 2 toads. That means we just added 200 bugs a night to our yard.
Right.
Right. So then I told
but
Rosie.
I was convinced there were more toads in that hole.
Well, I told Rosie, I said, let's go back to the pond and see if we can find those and bring them back.
I was like,
she wouldn't let
Clyde,
me.
I bet there's more in that hole. And he's like, whatever. And I looked down there and I saw something skitter. And I was like, yeah, there's definitely another toad in there. And I was 100% correct because we covered up the hole with dirt. And the next morning, the dirt was moved.
It had reburrowed its way out.
So we have a toad in the front yard. Okay, fine. We'll leave that toad. We'll kill 100 bugs a night. Whatever. So the next day, we go to do some work in the backyard, and we have a wood problem. You all know about our wood problem if you listen to any of our podcasts, because we cut down 2 trees.
2 giant trees.
Yeah. People tried to steal our wood, so we moved it quickly into the backyard. Well, now we're still dealing with cutting wood, splitting wood, stacking wood. Like, I don't know if this project will ever be over, but I'm praying that eventually it will.
Yeah, well, I spent 4 hours in the backyard with an axe and Seamus. And chopping some of that wood.
Yeah.
Right? So if anybody's curious what my body looks like right now, it is chiseled out of stone. That was one hell of a workout, let me tell you.
Oh my gosh. It was a workout, but I wouldn't say it takes more than one day of chopping wood to, become.
No, I'm good. So as we're moving the wood, though, we found.
Yeah, well, I'd covered the wood with plastic.
Yeah, and then all this rainwater came and landed on the plastic, and it made a whole bunch of little pools. Mm-hmm. And apparently this was like a paradise for these toads. So first we found a big one. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's even bigger than the ones we had in the front yard.
Yeah.
And then we started finding all the babies. And there were a whole bunch of babies, which is really cool because I'm pretty sure that plastic, as it filled with rainwater or snow or whatever, it eventually became like a breeding ground. And I bet at some point we had little tadpoles swimming in it and we didn't even know. I'm like thrilled. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like
it created an ecosystem.
An ecosystem in my backyard. And it kind of makes me feel like God, because I'm like, I created this planet for them,
Yeah.
No, too much?
No, way too much, Clyde. You always take it too far. Anyways, we got a toad problem. And so I told Clyde, I was like, well, did you at least put them in a grocery bag and take them to the pond? And he did not.
No time. We had to chop this wood.
So now we have 8+ toads roaming around because I'm not convinced there's just one in the front yard still. We got at least 7 in the backyard and at least 1 in the front yard.
We probably got 7 in the front yard,
too. So there's a lot of toads. I think we should be bug-free for the remainder of our lives.
We got 21 toads, folks. Okay? Toads, they're eating a lot of bugs. Our 25 toads is just,
they're having a happy life.
Yeah, all 30 of them.
Oh my gosh, Clyde. I don't know. You are funny.
So, Rosie, if we could go back real quick, we were throwing some shout outs for moms. And
What? The toad mom doesn't count as a mom?
Okay, so I guess we never left the topic. Good call.
She has 7 babies. That's like twice as many as we have.
Yeah, but they don't have to breastfeed or anything like that. Like, it's not as hard on them as, here we only celebrate the mammal mothers.
Sure.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's not true. I love that toad mom. She is a dedicated woman.
At least she lives in burrows with her children. That's a nice thing to say about her.
Oh, yeah. In fact, when I was in the Army, I was down in New Mexico, and we used to get these freak storms that would come in. It was right near El Paso, Texas, but on the New Mexico side of the border. But we'd get these freak storms that would come in the evening, and it would create these huge puddles, right? And then the next day, the sun would come out, and it'd be like 110, and all the water would start evaporating. But there was this one spot on our base that just started collecting this huge puddle. And this one day, I walked by the puddle, and I saw that there were like 1,000 tadpoles in this puddle. Well, then the sun came out, and it started evaporating, and it was getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And I was just like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to these tadpoles? Anyways, I'm not going to tell you the end of that story because it doesn't end well, except that, part of the life cycle. You got to be smart.
Yeah.
You don't reproduce in a puddle. You go find a pond or something like that.
Yeah.
But I did feel bad for those
You make better choices.
Yes, but I did want to save my final Mother's Day shout out for the best mother in the world. And that's Mrs. LeBron James's mother. No, I'm joking. No, I'm joking. The best mom in the world is you, Rosie.
Thanks, Clyde.
I could also say you're the best wife in the world, right? Because you'd have to be a good wife to tolerate this. I'm not your normal run-of-the-mill husband, right?
That is very true.
I'm not easily summed up.
You don't fit in the box.
No, I don't fit in the box. I don't want to fit in a box. But yet you tolerate me and you love me. And that is to be commended. But you are an incredible mother to our 3 children. I think perhaps you are the strongest mom that I've ever known in my life. I always knew you were a strong woman. And here's the thing. I'm incredibly passive, right? Like, we'll go out into the world. We will get terrible service, say at like a restaurant. They bring the wrong food for me or something like that. And I'm always just like, it's fine. They screwed up. I just won't tip, right? That's kind of my mentality. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm non-confrontational. Someone comes to the house to fix something and they do it wrong. I'll thank the person. I mean, I notice it's done wrong, but I thank them and I'm like, hey, thanks for your work. And then they leave and I call you and I say, hey, you need to get those people on the phone and tell them to get their asses back here to do this correctly. Yeah. And you do, because you're a strong woman. You're not a pushover. I still remember the first few times we went to the doctor when Rex was a baby, and just watching you at work, I was like, this is incredible. Like, they're like, how is everything going? And I'm like, fine. One word answer. And you're like, it's not fine. This is what's happening and this and this. And it was like every small detail you were like fighting for.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking like, oh, we don't need to bug the doctor with that. But then it would turn out that these small details you were fighting for, we were getting more because of the fight that you were putting up.
Yeah.
And I just started realizing, I was like, wow, this is really cool. I'm married to someone who's highly confrontational. Not necessarily always, but when you need to be, you're highly confrontational. Both of our boys have realized you're a mama bear. They're scared to bring problems to you because they know you'll kill a guy.
I will resolve their problems.
Yeah, you will fix their world.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that happened that made me realize, oh my gosh, I knew Rosie was strong, but you're 10 times stronger than I even gave you credit for, was when little Rosie was born. You spent 53 days in a hospital. 43 of those were all by yourself. That means for over a month, you lived in a hospital with our little baby, where the only sound to keep you sane, and maybe it actually drove you a little insane, was beep, beep. Just constantly.
Well, sometimes it was like beep, beep, beep. Sometimes it was like silent.
Yeah. Which the silence maybe drove you a little more insane than the beats, right?
It was really bad.
But,
and you were all the way in Colorado.
Yeah.
And
I had to start my job.
I was 4 states away because we were in the process of moving when she came. And so I had to live in the hospital.
You lived in isolation and you were in dark for most of it because they wanted to keep little Rosie in the dark for the majority of the time. You sat in that hospital room with her. You kept her alive in so many ways. There are a number of times you've told me about where the nurses downplayed something that was going on, and your gut instinct just told you something was wrong, and you would fight for it, and you would say, hey, get your asses back in here and look at my baby. And then they would come in and be like, oh, you were right. She's blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And you just had a really good instinct about all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when I was leaving, because I knew the way you were, because I knew that you had this feisty, potentially confrontational side in you, I knew that you were the perfect person to stay. And that was a thought I had. I was like, if one of us had to stay with this baby, I'm glad it's you.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's easier to tell me no than it is to tell you no.
Yeah.
Right? I gained a whole new respect for you. I mean, I already had respect for your strength and everything, but I gained a whole new respect for you. And it also made me realize there's nothing you wouldn't do for the people that you love. Right?
That is true.
And it's not just the kids. It's not just me. It's anybody that you love.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody you consider family, you'll kill a guy for.
No,
right?
I won't kill anybody. Stop saying that.
We've got 3 bodies. In the, just kidding.
No, I just take care of the people that I love. And I mean, I wouldn't necessarily want to do it again, but I would if I had to. I learned so much about myself through that experience with little Rosie because I went nuts a little bit. When you don't get sunlight for days, you start to sort of lose your mind. And I finally had a nurse come in and say, you have got to leave this room. Like, you cannot be in this room 24/7. They ended up hooking me up with like these little monitors where I could actually see what was going on with little Rosie. And I could go out to the parking lot and actually walk around the facility. And that just became a tradition for me because I needed sunlight. Like, it was just so traumatizing and so hard. And I learned a lot about myself and what I'm capable of. I love my kids. That's the thing, you know. Mother's Day is kind of hard for me because we have 11 babies that live in heaven. And we have 3 wonderful children who are here and are awesome. And we've done so much to make sure that they're healthy and strong and happy and they have good lives and we're really blessed. But I still sometimes think about the ones that we lost, you know. Little Rosie came really early and we did lose her twin, and that was really hard too. You know, I'm a mom. I'm a mom to babies here. I'm a mom to babies in heaven, and I just do the best I can every day. It's
interesting you say, I'm a mom. You are many things. Right?
Yeah.
Like, you are a businesswoman, you are a wife, you're a mom, you're an equal host.
Yes, I am that.
Of all your titles, which one do you identify the most with?
Definitely mom. Being a mom is the title that I'm the most proud of. There's just nothing else better than your kids, you know? My kids are the driving force for everything that I do. I work so hard because I want to support them, you know? I was in a seminar last summer, and one of the things that we discussed is, what is your why? And it took me no time at all to say, my why is my family. You and the kids are the reason that I exist. You're the reason that I breathe, the reason that I work hard, the reason that I strive to be better, because I want to live a long and happy life and support you guys for as many days as I live on this earth. That is my why. You guys are my why.
Well, I am honored that I'm part of that.
Yeah. It's funny because you will always be part of that no matter what happens.
I know.
Like, you are my best friend.
You're my best friend too, Rosie.
Yeah, and you will always be my best friend for forever. Like, I can never imagine my life without you. I'm so glad that we're bonded together because I could never be without you.
I know. Aren't you glad that I sneakily knocked you up?
Yeah.
12 years ago or whatever it was.
Little Rex asked me yesterday on Mother's Day, he said, when is the moment that you knew that you were a mom? And I thought it was a really weird question, but I said...
like last week.
Yeah, just became
Who are
one.
you?
Yeah, exactly. You know, I know he was digging for the moment that he was born, you know, because...
fishing for compliments like a normal November.
Dude, he loves that. Like, he loves the fact that he was first, that he, you know, taught me everything I knew about becoming a mom, which I did learn a lot on our first, because you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Like, you're just living. Like, you're trying every day to do the best you can, but you're messing up all over the place because freaking parenting is hard. But
we're doing a lot better on our third kid than we did on our first. I'll tell you that.
She's so much more stable than the first one, probably because we know what we're doing now. But anyways, the moment that I became a mom was the moment that I found out I was pregnant. The second that I knew I was pregnant, the second I saw 2 lines on the stick, every day since then, I just keep learning and growing.
Now, you brought up something that I thought was interesting. You said to find your why. I think that's an interesting topic, right?
Yeah.
It's an interesting conversation piece because I think everybody has to find their why for why they're doing what they're doing.
And if you don't have a why, then you're just basically wandering around aimlessly in this world.
Yeah. The first time I ever heard about finding your why was about 3 days before I entered Iraq. Mm-hmm. We had this big meeting and some captain got up there and he said, every single person in here needs to know their why. And then he pulled out a picture in his wallet of his son. This is why I'm here. I'm here to fight for a world that my son can grow up in, or whatever. I don't know. I don't remember.
You were so young then. Did you even have a why?
Interestingly enough, here's the thing. Just before I went to Iraq, I turned 21. And you want to know what I was doing on my 21st birthday? There's a lot of people that have these incredible kegger parties or whatever for their 21st birthday. Not me. I was sitting in a guard tower for 14 hours with a guy I couldn't stand, right? That's my 21st birthday. We were gearing up to go to Iraq, And so I was very young when we went. And
it was similar for me. I spent my 21st birthday with you.
Yeah, in a tower. In a guard tower, yes.
With a guy I didn't even like.
Yes. How ironic, right? Yeah. Honestly, I kind of sat there and I was thinking, what is my why, right? I don't have my own children or whatever. The best I could come up with in that moment was, Boomer.
Sure.
He's my hetero life partner, I
mean, let's face it, Boomer's a part of my why as well.
Yeah. I had known Boomer since 7th grade, best friends ever since, I would also say Joel Nert. I'd only known Joel Nert, and it's weird to think about at that time, but I'd only known Joel Nert for less than a year when I entered Iraq. I would say about 6 months. But I knew instantly with him that he was one of my best friends. Within a week of knowing him, I was like, holy crap, you're a lifelong friend. So I kind of had this idea of maybe my why is just, I've got some friends here, right? Here's the thing. Before I went to Iraq, I had so many dreams about dying. Every time I would go to sleep, I would dream that I would die. And there would always be some weird scenario. Getting shot, getting blown up in a bomb, getting run over by a camel, something like that,
sure.
And
the normal dreams.
Yeah, normal getting ready for war dreams. And so when I went into Iraq, I was almost kind of desensitized by it because I'd been dreaming about it so much that I just kind of was like, I think this is my purpose in life. I think I'm going to die. I just was like, I would look around at some of the people I was with, and a lot of the guys I was serving with had wives or kids, and I was just like, if someone's got to, I guess it's better me than them. But I didn't know that one day I would get past all of that, and one day I would have my own why. And for me, I would say you are a big part of my why, right? You're the reason I get out of bed. You're the reason I put pants on in the morning instead of just sit there. Because I was wearing just pajamas. And then one day you mentioned it. You're like, don't you want to look attractive for me? And I was like,
sure, have some class.
Yeah,
Clyde.
I was like, sure. I mean, you are my why. But also the kids, I mean, they're all right. It really is a pleasure to be married to you, Rosie. You're an amazing
Clyde.
person. Clearly a better person than me. I think everyone can figure that out who listens to this podcast. So I am the lucky one. I'm the winner of this relationship because you are clearly out of my league.
Clearly.
And I'm good with that.
Yeah. So I want to actually end the podcast with some mom jokes. All right, Clyde, you ready for some mom jokes?
I didn't even know there was a thing as mom jokes. I've heard of mother-in-law jokes.
No, these are mom jokes.
I heard a good wife joke.
Did you?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's Mother's Day appropriate. but Claude told it to me.
Okay, what is it?
It's really good.
Before we go into my mom jokes, which is, it's Mother's Day and all, and I should be able to just, have a thing. But go ahead, give your joke.
All right. How do you know when your girlfriend's getting fat?
I already hate this joke. How, Clyde?
When she starts fitting into your wife's clothes.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Claude told me that one. I was like, that is a funny joke.
That's not cool. Dude, I'm the same size now as I was like when we were first together. So let's not.
I'm not saying it applies to me.
I hope your girlfriend is fat.
Dude, how dare you wish my fictional girlfriend harm?
It's fine. We don't make fat jokes.
Yeah,
it's
Claude.
Protected.
Claude, that was a bad joke. Way to brainwash me
Clyde.
into telling this on the podcast.
Oh my gosh, you are such a freaking idiot. Mom joke. Why did the baby strawberry cry?
Why?
Because his mom was in a jam.
Oh. Someone turned that strawberry into jelly. Someone killed it.
Is this too hard for you, Clyde? Do we need to stop?
All right. Next joke.
Okay. What did the mama tomato say to the baby tomato?
I don't know. What?
Catch up.
Oh, my goodness. Is that a threat? Is she threatening her child?
Okay. What did the mommy spider say to the baby spider?
I don't know what.
You spend too much time on the web.
Probably looking at dirty stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Just saying.
Why is a computer so smart?
Why?
Because it listens to the motherboard.
Oh.
Last one, Clyde.
All right, spring it on me.
Why did the bean child give his mother a sweater?
I don't know. I feel like this joke doesn't even need a punchline.
She was chilly.
Can we just go back to the fact that it called it a bean child? Like, it's just a funny thing.
He's a bean, like chili.
Yeah, I get it. The bean child, sweater, chili. Got it. Very funny. Yeah. Very funny.
These are mother jokes.
Did you find these on the back of like Laffy Taffy packets?
Yes. I've been collecting them for years, just waiting to share them with you.
It was always my dream to like send in one of those Laffy Taffy jokes and actually have it appear on the back.
Yeah.
Although that would require work, and I was always too lazy to write them down, but I used to try to come up with my own jokes.
Well, Clyde, your jokes are interesting.
Mostly inappropriate. Too inappropriate for
Except
Laffy
for
Taffy.
your ones about bears.
That's
you make
true.
a lot of jokes about bears.
I do have a whole series of jokes about bears.
For the fifth graders, of course.
Yeah.
Nobody else thinks they're funny but the fifth graders.
They're hilarious. I've told adults and gotten chuckles.
What's your best bear joke?
I don't want to tell you my best.
Tell
I feel
me
like
your bear joke.
I feel like if I'm going to reveal the bear jokes on the podcast, it needs to be one per episode. And we build up to the best.
Oh my gosh, Clyde. Just give me a freaking bear joke.
Okay.
Why do you make things so hard?
Because I see the world in a certain idealistic way.
Okay.
Why does the bear scratch so much?
Why?
Just be claws. There we go.
I don't even know if that one makes sense.
I would not say that that's the best of my bear jokes. That was the first one I wrote, and then I was like, I need to write a whole series of these jokes. So I right now I'm up to about 10 bear jokes.
Yeah.
So tune in next week. I will reveal the next bear joke.
Oh my gosh. 10 episodes of a bear joke an episode?
Yeah. It's going to be hard to figure out how to fit those in seamlessly.
You never cease to amaze, that's for sure.
I know.
All right, well, this was another fun episode.
Remember, you can check us out on any platform and make sure whichever platform is your platform of choice, you hit that follow button so that you know when we have new episodes.
That's right. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
Check out our website at ilovemyidiot.com.
And don't forget to tell your idiot that you love them.
I love you, mama.
I now feel like I need to shower.
Well, shoot,
that
let's
felt
go.
disgusting. Never talk to me like that again.
Let me go for a mulligan. I love you.
I love you too, Clyde.
I love my idiot.
Yeah, and then I gave her a quick little kiss and then went and brushed my teeth.
What did you, French her? Jeez, Clyde.
No, I just felt that freaking weird about it. All right?